Okay, today's lesson is I can write linear equations in 3 different forms given different information. So I'm going to skip the warm-up for the sake of time, but remember when you're finding the slope, you do this. So this is really what we're going to be talking about today. I'm also going to be talking about intercepts. That'll add a little bit to it. So this is really just putting 3 of your past lessons in one. And this is the way the problems look on the assessment too. So I thought it was important for you to see it. All right, so write an equation in all 3 of these forms given that the slope is 7 and the y-intercept is -3. Well, if the slope is 7 and the y-intercept is 3, I know that the slope-intercept form is very simply y equals 7x minus 3. And to get it in standard form, and I always do my work over here, to get it in standard form, we just need to move the x. So I'm saving the more difficult one for last. So negative 7x plus y equals a -3. But remember, with standard form, you can't have that leading coefficient as negative. So I have to switch all of my signs. So I have in standard form 7x minus y equals 3. Point slope form really isn't difficult at all. You just have to remember it doesn't matter what point you choose as long as it fits this. So the easiest one to use, and this is kind of a cop-out, would be the y-intercept, which is 0, -3. But if you really wanted to do something not that obvious, just choose a point for x. So y equals 7, and I'm going to choose x as 1. And then simplify. So if my ordered pair has an x of 1, I can simplify to say y equals 7 minus 3, which is 4. So now I have my point, 1, 4. So point slope form would then be y minus 4 equals, where's my slope again? 7 times x minus 1. But you could have chosen any point. You could have chosen to put a 2 in, as long as you're inputting something into the equation to get your new y. So which was the most efficient form? The most efficient form was, since we are given the slope and the y-intercept, since we are given that, the slope-intercept form was the easiest because we just plugged numbers in. We didn't have any futzing around to do. All right, what about this one? Here we're given the slope and a point. So again, just like the last one when we were given the slope and the intercept, it makes most sense. The most efficient one is a slope-intercept form. So I'm going to start with that one. So y minus 1, because here's my y, equals -2 times x minus -3, which is plus 3. And then I'm telling you a huge hint. When I did my answer key for the review and for the assessment, I wrote that in over here, and then I went to slope-intercept form. So y minus 1 equals -2x minus 6, and I brought that 1 over. So now my slope-intercept form is y equals a -2x minus 5. Done. Y equals -2x minus 5. And then to get in standard form, remember you need to now bring that over. So it's an ax plus by equals c form. So 2x plus y equals -5. My leading coefficient is positive and it is not a fraction, so I know I'm good to go. Alright, so for this one I started this just to make the video a little bit shorter. Here we are given 2 points. And if you're given 2 points, remember the first thing you need to do is find that slope. So you can do something further with it, but you have to start with that slope. So I did my arrows this way. So 4 minus a negative 1 over negative 2 minus 4. And remember, this is really just y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. But this is my visual, so I can keep the y's on the top, the x's on the bottom, and my order the same. So now I have my slope is negative 5, 6. I am going to just choose this point right here. It really does not matter which point you choose, but for my point slope form, I'm going to have my slope, and I'm going to choose one of the points. I chose this one, and I just plugged in y minus a negative 1, which is plus 1, equals 5, 6 times x minus 4. So that's the point slope form. I would like you to pause and see if you can do the other 2 forms by yourself. So you've seen a couple of examples. I would like you to see if you can get it in slope-intercept form. Remember, I usually do, when I start with point slope form, I then take it to slope-intercept form and then standard form. See if you can do that and then come back and check your work. Alright, I have a feeling one of you is going to tell me that I did something wrong. First, when I turned off the video to complete this, I did notice that I dropped my negative. I had a negative here, but when I rewrote it here and here, I dropped a negative. So that was supposed to be negative. So once I multiplied that out, I came up with y plus 1 equals a negative 5, 6x plus 10 thirds. I hope that is correct. And then I had to get rid of the y, or get the y by itself, so I subtracted 1. Remember, 1 is the same thing as 3/3. So now I had, for my slope-intercept form, y equals negative 5, 6x plus 7/3. So I'm really hoping that that is correct. Oh, and then I missed putting the negative in here. See, watch those pesky negatives. It happens to me too. By the way, sitting in the car and it's snowing, it's beautiful. Alright, then to go from the slope-intercept to my standard form. I saw way up here, so to save room, I worked with it up here. I had a 6 in the denominator and a 3. So I multiplied everything by 6 because remember, we want to get rid of our fractions for standard form. So that left me with 6y equals a negative 5x plus 14. And then I moved my 5x over, so my standard form is this. So all of this would have been much easier had I not dropped a negative from here to here. So be very careful with your writing. Most efficient way, so which form is the most efficient? Well, because I had to find the slope, but I was still given a point, the point slope form is still the easiest, fastest, less chances to make a mistake than all of the other ones because there's more calculations. Alright, lastly, this one is not going to be on your current assessment, and it is a review, but I want to remind you about x-intercepts and y-intercepts because another quick way to graph is intercepts. And so if you have something in standard form, like 2x plus 3y equals 6, using intercepts are a really easy way to graph because the x-intercept is just where the graph crosses the x-axis. So it's on the x-axis, y is always 0. And for the y-intercept, you know this, the x is always 0. So I'm not even going to talk about this one right now. You can look to see the intercepts to name them. but find them here. If to find the x-intercept, y is 0, you cover, actually I just think of covering this up, like I literally covered up with my finger. Now I have, because I can do that, because 0, if 0 times 3 is 0, it cancels out. Now I have 2x equals 6. So 2x divided by 2, 6 divided by 2, that means my x-intercept, I'll just write it out, would be 3. So it would cross at 3. Where if you're finding the y-intercept, the x is going to be 0. So you just have the y left. So here, 3y equals 6, divide by 3, divide by 3. So y equals 2. So again, I bring this up because of the 3 forms, if you are in standard form, this intercept way of graphing would be the easiest. So the x-intercept, y-intercept. So I want you to remember this. Like I said, it's not necessarily on this test, but it will save you tons of time if you have to graph something in standard form on the MAPS test or another standardized test. Okay, finally, we out. Let me know if you have any questions.